Hello and welcome to this episode of One2Gration Today. I am Jeff McKinney, CEO and founder of One2Gration. Today, I am joined by, let's just say here, a group of gentlemen that all are excited, and I'm excited to be able to bring them to the community, to bring them to the world, to demonstrate their humanity and their purpose. And so I don't want to wait too long. I'll go ahead and bring in the architect of this conversation and community organizer, Terrence Wright. Welcome back, I should say, to One2Gration Today, Terrence.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for having me, Jeff, and thank you for giving us this opportunity to share what's going on in our community, especially the East Side of Plano.
Fantastic. So, I think it's probably best if, I take a step back and then, kind of just give you the floor to talk about, why you felt like this conversation and these two products, or I would say contributors to the community, were worthy at this time of bringing this conversation forward.
It just falls in line with both gentlemen have been strongholds in the East Side community in the sports world for Plano East athletics, and just the education process of PISD. And the thing about it, we've had this urban author exhibit that we've been going with, and been doing some interviews and want to bring more and more together. And Coach Thomas has a book coming out on that magical 40-0 season that Plano East boys basketball went through, and he played such an important part as an assistant coach of developing those young men. And Coach Stevens was a former coach at the high school ranks, but now he's an athletic director at the middle school ranks. And the key deal that I talk about there, and he has a yoga ministry, or you got things with yoga that he actually helps the basketball team and several other athletes at Plano East. But he also has a self-help book that deals with motivation. So I'm bringing together not only two coaches, but two authors that motivate and build young men and the process of our future athletes and future leaders. And they're strongholds that they don't want the credit of making those guys, those top tier athletes, when you see them get scholarships or win state championship rings. They are the architects behind the scenes that help those countless hours with those head coaches and say, hey, this is what they do. How do you want me to build them when they get to you, that they already know these things? So I thought that was an important piece of, giving them their flowers, of, sacrificing their egos, so to say, and just being that assistant coach and falling in line to do what's necessary for those kids to achieve greatness down the line.
Well, I definitely want to get and have Coach Stevens, Coach Thomas, and give them an opportunity to introduce themselves to the One2Gration community and everyone who will see this. But I also want to give a kudos to you, Terrence. I always remember how we first came into contact. It was at a point where you were not able to necessarily see a bright light there ahead of you, and there were some challenges that you were working through. And so to now see that you have overcome those challenges, to now see the resilience that I'm able to witness with all of the things that you do in not just the East Plano side of the house, but really on the northern sector of Dallas and on down 45 to Houston, and all of these other things that I see and I experience and I hear from you. So really, really proud of the work that you're doing. So let's jump in. So before we jump in, first, I'd like to have Coach Stevens give us an introduction and tell us a little bit about himself.
Good morning, everybody. One2Gration Nation. Delaney Stevens, Coach Stevens, better known as just an athletic middle school coordinator, head football coach, assistant track coach, but I coach everything. Became an author not too long ago, but I'm one of those guys that I'm gonna work hard, do what I need to do, but I want everybody else to get the credit. I don't want the pitches. I don't want the accolades. I hop out of pitches most of the time, and the parents bump me into them. But I'm all about developing not only the athlete, but more the student athlete, so he can become not the best athlete he can become, but the best person he can become, because you got to be a good person in this world. You have to. That's all what I always preach. Your athletic window is literally this big, but people are going to remember you by your character, how you move, and your mannerisms. So it's an honor to be a part of this production as well as this interview, especially with the grade I had the pleasure of going ahead of.
Well, great segue, Coach Thomas.
Good morning, gentlemen. Greg Thomas. I am a longtime member of the Douglas community in terms of my children playing ball. My girls played over there when Terrence was coaching. So that's the history in terms of our communication and being around each other. I'm a 29-year member with the Plano Independent School District, been coaching basketball about 25 of those 29 years. And recently, 2 years ago, we won the state championship. Everyone wants to call it a magical season. It wasn't magic. It was all earned. So I want that to go out there. Those young men did everything they needed to in terms of trust, believing, sacrificing, and they're exactly what we want the East Side of Plano to be recognized as. So I, again, personally, thank you for the opportunity to come on, not only share their story, but we can share a little bit of my story and my position and where I've been and things I've been doing in my adopted community of Plano for the last 30 years.
Fantastic. I'll pause there and just really give a bit of insight into really what this is about. One2Gration Today was envisioned to be a platform for us to highlight those who are actually moving intentionally to align with their purpose and that are making positive strides towards impacting and serving their fruits to the communities that they serve. And so you guys are home, I should say. And so this is the first of many conversations, I hope, because I anticipate, especially with what I've heard about you both for a good amount of time. And I've also done a bit of research, and I think you guys are going to continue doing what you're doing, and there's going to be more and more stories, and we need for more and more youth and other community members to be able to see what it looks like and be inspired to go out and give back like you guys have. And so with that said, let's jump in. Coach Stevens, can you talk to us a little bit about, your journey? One of the things that, jumps out to me that's really, really, I would say passively a priority is your dedication to incorporate mental health and awareness into, kind of your practice. Talk a bit about that for us.
Believe it or not, we use it a lot more than we want to give it credit, but hyping up a kid or encouraging a kid, motivating a kid, speaking life into a kid, it's all one and the same. We may call it mental toughness, we may call it courage, integrity, but if you're telling a kid that's made a mistake, hey, you can do it, keep it up, that gives them so much life that you don't understand. They know they've messed up. The crowd knows they've messed up. The coach knows they've messed up. But in their head, it's the end of the world. I can give you a story. Literally a couple of weeks ago, my cornerback came through, made a great play, ends up, I hate to say hurting the kid, but he hurt the kid. But we prepared for that. I brought him into the office and said, hey, if we can stop this play, we got a chance. And literally, he ran it off, shed the block, came through, great form tackle, kid bent it the wrong way. He had to get carted off. And he was in his feelings, like he was like physically in turmoil, just, coach, I'm sorry. Stop. We can't live like that. You're going to make some mistakes, but that's a mistake that was warranted because of how the game is played. If a college coach sees that on film, that's going to give you a look. So what we got to understand is we got to let kids understand it's okay to be emotional. It's okay to be in certain spaces, but we got to know how to bring them back to alignment and balance so they understand, oh, okay. Because in life, guess what? We make mistakes. Yeah. We got to have somebody to hype us up. Hey, you messed up. Now we got to get back to our center, our alignment, to know that, hey, it's part of it. It's a part of the game. It's a part of life. But we still got to live our life and go on the straight and narrow.
Yeah. So, Coach Thomas, I've seen, some in my research. You talk about the impact that your high school coaches played on your preparation, and you also speak a bit to playing in front of large crowds that actually prepared you, almost in line with what Coach is talking about. Can you touch on your history and how being set up at a young age allowed for you to go on and thrive at the next level?
Well, it's strange, but I had to go through some of that stuff myself. So sometimes the best teacher is your life experience. And sometimes your life experience is not always the best. Now, no one wants to go through the fire. They just want to, jump up and have it. The experience of learning and learning how on the fly is almost null and void these days. We don't want our kids to suffer. We don't want them to fail. We think everything is just going to be hunky-dory and everyone gets a prize at the end. And that's not reality.
Yeah.
And we have to teach them that you can play your best, do your best, and still not win. And not to lose courage and not to get discouraged and quit. And we're at a time now where many people just quit. If they can't be the star, if they don't have the ball, if they can't get the lead in the play, if they're not first chair in the orchestra, they quit. Instead of digging down, learning different techniques, taking in consideration someone that's not family and learning from that experience. And I think we missed the boat on a lot. I mentioned earlier, the 40-0 is the tip of the iceberg. But 7 years earlier, we were 5-29. And I think we did our best coaching with Western, myself, and Godwin at 5-29 than we did at the 40-0. We just didn't have the same results. And it was literally hard to drive from Frisco after losing when we had a game in hand and have to think about how can we win this game? What do we need to do? What do we need to teach? Who do we need to pull in when everything is going in the opposite direction? And I think that prepared not only just the coaching staff, but the mindset when those new kids came in. We're not going to lose these kind of games with you guys. We're going to teach you guys, and then we'll allow you to play at your hardest, at your fastest, and expect to win. And I think that's what's been missing on our East Side, was the expectation of winning, not the responsibility of it. Is expecting to win and then putting in that time, that work, and then seeing it come to fruition. That's the best part of it all.
Terrence, you spent a ton of time over there, especially youth sports over the years. You've a founder of the DC Kings organization, I believe. DC stands for Douglas Community, I believe. Talk a bit about, kind of what the youth, investing in them at that stage to be able to get them to the point where they can get to the place to win. How do you see that translating into the work with the youth?
I think it was just for me, it was just carrying out the processes of so many of the successes that laid before us. Coach Ralph Williams, Coach Alexander, all those guys laid the path and the foundation for a lot of those kids that fed into Bowman, Williams High School, and into Plano East. And those kids in that community, when I got here, they loved Plano East. They felt that was their school, because it was everything on the East Side was Plano East. Plano Senior has that rich history of those multiple state championships and all those great athletic successes, but Plano East was the community school when it divided out, everybody loved it. You can still today hear everybody talk about, I was the first at Plano East, or we was the first class, or we did this. So it was just carrying out some of those traditions that, those kids came through the Douglas community playing youth sports. And one thing, just like coaches just kind of talked about, was you could always see the East Side had the better athletes, but they wasn't winning district. They wasn't getting that success down the line in the playoffs because it was one little piece missing that the coaches couldn't click in and make them get over the hump. And it was just like, how come the East Side has the rich athletic history with guys going to the pros, guys having major D1 scholarships, but we couldn't get that crowning success of district champs, regional area champs, going to state championship games, and it was just always close, but never getting over the hump. That Quincy Diggs team that went down. They went down to, I think, to Waco, and then that other group in with Matthew and all those 4D1 guys that they had that year that they got down there that just kind of didn't get over the hump. And it was always there, and it was always that camaraderie with those kids. But it was these guys plugging behind the scenes and just them coming from their youth sports era. So I just tried to always fill in the gaps of where they want to be, and some of the coaches would buy into, like, hey, you guys helping us. You know what they deal with. How do I tap into him to make sure he stays out of trouble, that I can keep him eligible not only academically but scholastically, that he doesn't get in trouble, that I can keep him on the court. So those are things that they bought back into us, to saying, you guys mentor a lot of these kids. How can we reach them as well too at this next level? So that was always that camaraderie and that trade-off that we always work together a lot of times.
So all of those things, when I look at my own journey through middle school, high school, playing sports, I've got a son that's a 8th grader playing sports, playing football. I think about, kind of what you guys are talking about. We've heard these things before. And so I think what's new that you guys are bringing is that you're transitioning actually into building other tools that are not necessarily requiring you and your presence and your voice to be there real time. Coach Stevens, talk a bit about your journal and really what got you to the point where you were like, hey, look, this is the path that I want to go down, to be able to offer a tool and also have this be a part of my legacy and contributions to the youth.
I'm a product of Langston University, so I'm gonna put that out there. Proud HBCU grad, but I've always been around a bunch of great men. So I always had wisdom oozing in me since I was little. My track coach is my kind of my brain trust on a lot of things that I'm doing as far as this goes. He's the person who introduced me to yoga, and early in the morning, 6 a.m. Track workout, 6 a.m. in the morning, no weight room. He said, you stiff, you're strong as ever, you're explosive, but you have no mobility or flexibility. And it taught me, one, you got to do what the coach says no matter what, because if you want to compete, but also you don't know how much of an impact it's going to make on you as you grow older. As I've gotten older, yoga has been a key pillar in my success, but also in my mindset. The breathing techniques, how to contain yourself, how to control yourself when times aren't going your way, but also when opposition is trying to test you to come out of character. So, and Terrence will tell you, I crack more jokes than I yell on the sideline when I'm coaching, because I know certain times if I don't, it can go the opposite way. So, yeah. But it's something that as Black men, we kind of overlook that as soft. And it's something that we see as, oh man, that's for them, that ain't for us. When really, if we contain ourselves, control ourselves, we'll put ourselves in better situations and be more successful in the long haul.
Fantastic. What's been the biggest surprise that you've had in actually offering this and the response that you've gotten from people with the book?
So I work with a group called Black Boys Meditate that I sit on the board of, and it's ran by a mom who has Black sons. So when I told her I was writing it, she was elated. She said, finally, I have something I can use with my sons about said issues or said situations. So you really have a lot of parents who, I won't say weren't athletic, but don't understand the nuances that it is to be a young athlete. You got these aspirations of being the next Michael Jordan or Justin Jefferson or whoever it may be. And it takes a lot of mental strain, but also a lot of discipline. It's a lot of things that you have to look at internally to see, do I really want to do this? I have 2 young nephews that are in high school now. And I was thinking in high school, what would I need to get through this? So I literally had to go through look through all my high school days, because I hate to say it, I was a central cluster kid, but I always envied the East Side because he said they had a community. Even growing up in PFL, the Jaguars, the Lions, I played against them, but they were East Side kids, but they had a different feel of it. So with this journal, I just want to kind of let athletes know, hey, emotions are real. If you have emotions, you're normal. But also, if you can contain your emotions, you have control of not only the game outside it, but the game inside, which is where really the wins are won. The games are won.
Yeah, and I would add to that. I think you said it earlier. I can't remember if it was in the backstage or before we started to record. You talked about the window of an athlete being so short.
Yes.
And so, being able to have these types of skills to be able to transition away from the field or away from the court are just as important, if not more. And for us at One2Gration, we build and offer responsible media, responsible services. Responsible is a term that we've trademarked so that we can make sure that we can be very, very intentional about the responsible social offerings to be able to, like you said, to be able to support the young folks, whether they are an athlete, whether they are someone who supports athletics, or whether it is that they're just pursuing whatever passion. There's a certain need to be aware of certain types of emotions, and certain types of emotions, when not properly expressed, become detrimental to us. And so, when over the last year, Terrence was telling me about how you incorporated yoga into, kind of what you were offering, not just to the youth, but I've seen you around the community hosting yoga meetups. And so I think, no matter what color you are, we all have these emotions, and we all have this need to express ourselves and be able to maintain a mindset in tough situations. And so that's kind of what I hear you speaking. I want to transition real quick over to you, Coach Stevens. Tell us a bit about the why behind your upcoming release.
Coach Thomas.
Coach Thomas. I'm sorry. Yeah, Coach Thomas. Yeah.
Oh, well, the release of the new book was just to highlight like I said earlier, the 14 kids and what they did in the 5 coaches. And let the public know that it wasn't just a game. And we get caught up in it was just a game. It wasn't just a game. It galvanized an entire community. And we've been looking for this. We had the opportunity, as Terrence said, we had a 2018 that was unbelievable. The biggest team I think we've ever had at East. And we lost in the regional finals on the last second game. And we lost the game not because we didn't practice on the situation, not because we weren't ready for the situation. Games happen. Plays are made. Opportunities are taken advantage of or missed out on. We missed out on a couple plays. They made some great plays. They made a big shot and won the game. But it doesn't tell the story about that team. That team was one of the best, I would say, top 5 teams we've ever had in Plano East history. 3 years later, we had another team that was valiant, won 30 games as well, was right on the cusp. And several of our players got sick, and you never know how that plays a part in the game. When you're not at your top peak physically or mentally or emotionally, things happen. And we lost to a team. If we played them 10 times, we would beat them 9 times. And it just didn't happen. And this last team, or the team that won the state, everything just fell in place. There was no fear. They had been trained. We had been talking about it. We had worked on it. What will it be like in this environment? We're going to play here. They're going to boo you. They're going to talk trash to you. We're going to get calls against us. Next play is ours. Next play is ours. And we had a group of young men that mastered that. They understood. They played well. They stayed in the game. If they didn't play well, they come out. They had to cheer for their teammate. And we played of the 40 games, I think 28 of those 29, everybody played in the game. Yeah. So they had learned and they had studied and they had earned the right to be as good as they were. We just didn't know it would be probably one of the best teams to ever play in the state of Texas, ever. And I said, and I will hold court with you. They are one of the best teams to ever lace up the shoes and compete.
Well, 40-0, right?
Actually, we were 41-1. We went and played in a national tournament, and we lost it. Our first loss was in a national tournament.
You guys didn't get the coach though, but
we didn't get a coach. We didn't get a chance to. We had to sit in the up under the basket. UIL would not allow us to coach that. But
you still so you're claiming a loss that you were not on the bench for.
Well, we have to. It's a team thing. It's us.
Wow.
And we had a chance to win the game.
Yeah.
I mean, those are the little things no one talks about. Those are the things that we miss out on, that the general fan just say, well, y'all didn't. It was us. It was our team. It was our players. We had that chance. And that loss does not sum up our season.
Yeah.
You understand? Yeah. That's what brought that team together. The unity is what the book's about. The sacrifice of playing and playing time is what the book's about. Trusting in the game plan is what the book's about.
Wow.
The result is what everyone wishes for or hopes for. But the journey, I was never a person that believed in the process. I just want to play. That's been my lifestyle. I've been through countless different challenges as a youth, in college, and afterwards.
Yeah,
and the
Coach,
only thing you want to do is play.
Yeah, I'm sorry to cut you off. Talk about that a little bit, because that was some of your journeys in your first book that you put together. Some of that, rich history that you had to go through that before you even got to the Plano community.
Well, I am from San Angelo, Texas, about 285 miles to the west. Played in a conference with Odessa Permian, Midland Lee, Odessa High, Abilene schools. It was considered the Little Southwest Conference. At the time when we were growing up, the Southwest Conference was one of the premier college athletic conferences. And we did so well that they disbanded the Southwest Conference. The cheating was unbelievable. The money, all the things that could go wrong with the conference I played in, and it went wrong. And so now we don't have the Southwest Conference anymore. But I had the ability and the blessing of being around some great men growing up. My father, great man. I wish my children had got to know their granddad. My father coached the state championship in 1950 when it was segregation. He coached the first Black player to integrate in the South, in Ben Kelly. I had Coach Keeling, who coached the first integrated state championship in the state. I'm not talking about integrated with one or two. I'm talking about integration out of Lubbock, Estacado. So I had great mentors, great men in my life. But there were obstacles, same kind of obstacles that we face today. I was the first Black starting quarterback in 1982. 1982. Some 19 years after Brown versus the Board of Education. And I was the first one in 1982.
In Arkansas?
No, in Texas, dude.
In Texas.
I am a Texas born and bred kid.
He's talking San Angelo before University of Arkansas.
Okay.
Yes, sir. The University of Arkansas is where I had to go play in order to get that opportunity to play quarterback there.
Yeah.
Because Texas schools told me no. The University of Texas told me, and my brother got a chance to hear it himself from Coach Akers. He was told not to recruit me to play quarterback. I can come and play another position, but not quarterback. Wow. So I left the state of Texas with the option of going to Oklahoma or Arkansas, not knowing the history of Arkansas, but thinking Arkansas is in the Southwest Conference. I can come home and play at least 4 games a year. My family is all here around Dallas, they could come see all the games, and I had no knowledge of that history. A year later, in 1985, I became the first starting black quarterback in the University of Arkansas. No knowledge of the history of Arkansas football. Other than they offered me the scholarship, I took it, went on the visit, saw who the competition was, and knew right then I'm going to get a chance to play as a freshman. The ups and downs are part of life. And what was protected in San Angelo was not protected in Fayetteville. So I learned the realities of profiling, discrimination, dislike, hate, not because I had done something wrong, just because of the color of my skin. In the mid 80s, like my father had learned in the 40s. And it was just the situation that was at hand. The state wasn't ready for that.
Yeah.
The university wasn't ready for that. And we didn't address it in a way that they could have made it easy. It was just boom, I'm playing in the fourth game. They have to accept it. Now you have a state that's entirely disagreement with it, barreling down. Yeah, and it came. But I couldn't worry about the fans. I'm worried about my teammates. I'm worried about the guys I'm trying to lead. And so I was forced to deal with that as an 18 and 19-year-old. And okay, that's life. I'm okay with that. Now I can use that to teach our young people. It's not everyone all the time. Someone can criticize you and still like you. Not everything is hate. But there are some people out there that will not give you a chance, regardless. And you have to teach these young people, hey, you play bad, at least you get a chance to redeem yourself. But if you go out there and do something that's legally bad, you will forfeit that opportunity. And you have to teach them to make better decisions. You have to give them the opportunity, but we have to present it to them in a way that they can accept it and know it's just a normal child. I mean, being a good citizen, being a good student, being a good teammate, those things have to be taught. They don't just happen. And most of the time we don't do that. We take it for granted. We take things for granted because we're so caught up in life. And now with the exposure of athletics and then paying kids, we have to really take a step back and do our due diligence to share with them that this opportunity is life-changing. It was for me to go to college. And I am the son of two master-level teachers and principals. My grandmother was not supposed to be able to go to college, went to USC. So I understood the education part of it. I didn't understand the athletic education part of it. So my children are all but one of college graduates because I got a chance to see the world and then share that with them and then give them inspiration to try to follow in those footsteps. Not in my footsteps, their own footsteps, but to go to college, see college, compete in college. And if that's what you want to pursue. And if you don't, now you got to be a good dad, you got to be a good brother, you got to be a good sister, you got to be a great parent. And yet, excuse me, and you have to give back. And that's been my entire legacy in Plano, is always giving back.
Yeah. Coach, can you talk a bit, Stevens this time, can you talk a bit about the inspiration that you find in the connection? I've seen a little bit of it with Coach Thomas. And I mean, I'm just listening to these stories that he's sharing right now, and I don't even want to stop him from talking. It's just,
no, that's why I said I'm sitting back and oozing all his wisdom, man. He who you're seeing is who he is all the time, no matter what. He comes and visits Otto maybe 2-3 times a year, and I'll miss attendance or something just because I'm talking to him about something, or I'll say something to him and he always got something just good to say. But he just embodies what a leader looks like, and he carries himself like that even on the sideline. You know, Wester doesn't. You'll hear Coach Thomas before you hear Wester, but because Thomas is almost like the hype man on the bench, but he's also the one that's gonna get everybody right. They'll be walking to the track, saying, "No, we got to run, we got to get in shape," and he's leading the herd. But he's also the person that when you see that, especially you see that example of a man. Okay, that's what it looks like. That's that's how it's supposed to be presented. That's the tradition that I want to continue to carry, not just for myself, but for the people and boys who look like me, because they're watching and they're watching to see how you move, how you do it. I may do it in a younger, youthful, millennial way, but the things that he's teaching me are the same things my uncles and my dads and my brother, my brothers, frat brothers, and everybody taught me, as well as the coaches I've had. I literally have a coach specifically when I was at Haggard Middle School. He gave me a quote that I live by, and he said, "You don't know how good you are because you're afraid of what you can become." And it hit me in the chest like, man, what? And I always tell kids this to this day, like, hey, you don't know how good you are until you put your best foot forward and you fail. I said, once you fail, my job kicks in. And we're going to learn from failure to failure to build you up to become this person that you want to be. Now, you're going to hate me a lot of the time, but you're going to love me when it works.
Yeah.
So it's taking what Coach Thomas is saying and using it as fuel, but also using it as motivation and inspiration to be doing it for, like he said, 29 years. I just came into my 14th year, and I just look back at where I was at year one, and I'm a completely different coach because of the tools I've been able to obtain, but also the images I've been able to see since I've come to the East Side. I've been on the East Side for 9 years now, 9 years now. So I've been seeing Coach Thomas for a long time. So it's just a blessing and a large sense of gratitude to be able to have him in my corner, but also be able to watch him work.
For me, I hear and I know that this is very special to the East Side of Plano. And I know I was invited into the East Side of Plano from Terrence. We went over into the Douglas community, and he took me up and down the streets, and we sat there. We played dominoes one Saturday, and it was what was the day called? It was Daniel's Day, Chad Day.
Chad J Day.
Yeah, Chad J Day. And so I learned all about that and saw how the community still represented and gathered for such a heartwarming cause. I want to make sure that we talk a little bit about, kind of going forward, the legacy. Coach is saying that, he's got one more year. He's closing up shop, 30-year mark, and calling it a career, putting a bow on it. And he's got the book here. He's talking about and shining light on that 12 or 14 players that went out and delivered. What do you guys, if you could say, just in really what you've done through 14 and 29 years, what is the legacy that you hope to leave, and also tie that into these publications that you guys are offering?
I want to be known for creating respectful citizens of society, not just athletes. I want to be able to. I love when former athletes come by and thank me for the discipline that I installed in them, or thank them for just different gems that they remember of me saying that I've forgotten. Because in the heat of the moment, I say a lot of different things to get you going, to get your goal. But I'm also trying to speak life into you that you can use for your kids or your downfalls, your mistakes. So my legacy is just be creating respectful citizens of society that keep this thing going in the right way.
Coach Thomas?
First of all, I want to say thank you to Coach Stevens. That's humbling to hear you say that. And for me to hear it's almost tearful. So I appreciate you making those comments. I came to Plano following Mr. Lamb. Now, Terrence may know who Mr. Lamb was. Mr. Lamb is an old staple of the Douglas community. Was the coach and the principal over there when it was Douglas High, before they closed Douglas and the black students went to Plano High School. And upon his retiring, I was hired to pick up where he left off. So I owe a debt of gratitude to Mr. Lamb. Do some research on him. He's one of the oldest and best mentors and teachers and coach in Plano School ISD history. I always look at it as I'm paying it forward. It was provided to me back in San Angelo. Mind you, again, I tell you, I had some great mentors. I come from a great family. Okay? I want people to understand that. I come from a great, big, huge family and a community in San Angelo. I give back the way I saw my parents give. How I saw my leadership giving back to the community. My next book will be on that 1950 state championship from San Angelo, the segregated black men, 26, and the 3 coaches, and what they did after they got the state championship in San Angelo, worldly, what they gave back, becoming doctors, teachers, airmen, Navy men, coaches, because we forget what community is supposed to be. And I think that book is going to be my best. Although this one right here is great. I think this book can be made into a movie. My first book, No Doubting Thomas, will be a documentary. We're still working on that. It's just caught up between basketball and the seasons. Giving back is the best thing you could ever do. And giving to a group of people who have the same goal. But we haven't talked about my number one job. My number one job with Plano is going out finding students that have quit in life, that have given up on finishing their education. I go find those students and bring them back and try to get them at least a high school education. That's what I've been doing the last 6 years. That's more gratifying than basketball. Basketball is my release. Getting a young man or a young woman who was beat down by life. I mean, I'm talking about all kind of beat down we had. Drug, alcohol, pregnancy, divorce, abuse, physically, mentally, emotionally, and they quit. And we go back and find these students and encourage them to come back and at least give themselves a chance to compete in this real world. See, basketball, football, track, those are all side goals. Because not only like 3% of us get a chance to play at the next level, which is college. And only 1% get a chance to do it in the pros. I've been blessed to be a 1% in high school. I was 1% when I went to college. And I've seen so much that at least an education can give you an opportunity to compete. And the way prices are now, the way groceries are and living on your own, these young people need to have a foundation. And that's what I do 7 hours out of the day. The other 2 hours is pure fun. It's crazy, it's fun, it's hectic, but it's competition. And I'm competitive. I have an ego. I think everything we do is right, although I know it's not. But I have that confidence and I can learn. I'm going to share this story. You were talking about Coach Al earlier, Terrence, in the Douglas community.
Right.
We were playing a basketball game in 2004. I believe we were playing over at Wiley. And Wiley had a great team. And we had a challenging team, but it wasn't as good as Wiley. And we came in with a game plan, and it wasn't working. We just calling stuff, and we couldn't get it worked out. And then Al up here in the stands going, "Hey, coach, why don't you just go to a zone?" Now, I trust him because I know what he does over there at the Douglas community. He's working well with those kids and the girls. I've seen him coach. But the mindset of our game plan wasn't working. I turned around and looked at him and said, all right, he got something to say. Coach, why don't we call time out here? Let's go to a zone. Now, did we win the ball game? No. But we can learn as coaches too.
Yeah.
And so many times we don't think we can learn. We think we know it all. I don't know it all. I don't know it all. And sometimes we have to take a step back also and see what's going on. How can I get this individual to buy into the philosophy? How can I get this mom to get that young man to go to class and do his work? You know, how can I get this person that has given up reinvest in themselves? That's what I do now. And I'm telling you, I'm tired, honestly. You know, you know when you're reaching people and you know when you're not. And I need someone to come in and take over for me. That's all I'm saying. The same way it was given to me and presented, and to take that mantle. I thank God every day that the blessing he gave me to do that. But it's time for somebody else to come in and take that over, because the young people deserve that. These young people need it. These young people want it. And I want to enjoy life too.
Yeah,
You
and
know,
touching on real quick, excuse me, Jeff. Just I can remember, like you say, in speaking, with Coach Thomas. I'm gonna go somewhere else, but I can remember early when I got to Plano and how the East Side, especially those kids going into Williams High School, they didn't come out of Williams, and they didn't come out as to graduate to Plano East as a 9th and 10th grade high school. That was it for most of those young men on the East Side. So the current administration, the principals, I know Ms. Stovall over there, they've changed that mentality, and you've helped in that regard too, Coach. So that's kudos. It's a long process, like you said. It's a beat down. It's changing more than just the students' mentality. It's a family history of some of that. It's psychological things that they deal with that we don't never have to think about. A young person should have to deal with, but. Hey, kudos to you guys. And I can remember when I first came across Coach Stevens, he knew my son from playing. I was refereeing, I do more football now than basketball, but he was like, "Oh, that's your son." And he gave me some props on it. I was like, "Yeah, I'm still trying." He's a senior this year. And I go back to this. I can remember in first grade and kindergarten, I was begging Coach Thomas, let me put my boy in special programs for about 2 weeks to get him straight. He'll be good the rest of his high school career. And Coach Thomas like, he ain't that bad. He'll be all right. I can't just put him over there. But that's the kind of stuff that I knew from what would help transform kids. Without any Coach Thomas, but Coach Duty Thomas over at Special Program. I saw the way that kind of stuff would mold kids, and it looked like a prison type system, but it's a structure that helped those kids get to where if they really wanted and believed in themselves and wanted to make a change, it would happen. So kudos to you guys for always being there. Like I said, educator is the toughest profession you could be in. Toughest profession. So hats off to you guys, not only in the classroom, but in the athletic form and everything else you guys do to develop future leaders.
Thank you. Thank you.
I couldn't have said it better. I think about what we're building with One2Gration, and we've got several different programs that have come from, really just, working with those in the community and listening to the challenges that we see that are that we can make an impact on. And so for me, once I left and transitioned outside of corporate America from 20 years in technology, my calling was to be able to kind of now repurpose that same set of gifts, if you will, and then go and grow in a space that would allow for me to really connect with people like you all. And so when I think about the stories that you're telling about how you're going back into the community and reaching out to those who may have given up on themselves or not saw the light down the path to education and reconnecting with them, I think that's something that, for me, I would love to be able to support and give my gifts and think about how technology can improve that. When I think about, coaches saying, here's a young man who has done everything that he was supposed to do and had a surprising outcome because there was an unfortunate injury. I have my own story of going to work and doing everything that I was supposed to do and having a surprising outcome of being diagnosed with PTSD, and having to now figure out, like, okay, well, I survived the inner cities of Dallas. I grew up in Oak Cliff, and everything was fine. I felt love there. And then when I went into this space called corporate America, that was supposed to, there's supposed to be some rules here. It's not like the environments that I survived. Somehow or another, the experience has caused me to be diagnosed with, these things and these challenges. Well, for me, it's a resilience to be able to say, well, let's make sure that we build a set of solutions and a set of tools for the folks that come after us to be able to have a place to go, so that they don't have those same types of outcomes. And if they do, that's fine. But there is a path forward, and there is a way to heal, and there are resources available to you. So kudos to you guys. You are right on the front lines there on the east side of Plano, being that real time for the parents, the youth, contributing to platforms like One2Gration, and allowing us to be able to help amplify and tell your stories gives that reach beyond Plano. And so I look forward to having you guys back. Before we jump, if you guys each could tell our audience where they could follow and find you, and also where they could connect and purchase your book, that would be great.
Again, Delaney Stevens, owner, CEO, founder of Dauntless Source. That is my handle on my Instagram at Dauntless Source, threads, email at dauntlesssource@gmail.com. You can find the Dauntless Athlete Journal on Amazon, or if you're in the East Side community, I could personally deliver you a copy. But Dauntless Source is what I go as my business. Delaney Stevens is my name. Coach Stevens is what the kids know me by.
GregThomasConnect.com. That's where you can go right now. I believe on Friday, I will get my Amazon link and I'll present it at that time. But I tried to do the pre-order. But you can get either book, No Doubting Thomas, Hawk Whisperer, which describes and chronicles my college career, and hashtag Making Believers. That's what we call this book here, which, like I said, will be out on October the 22nd. It's GregThomasConnect.com. Again, gentlemen, I appreciate y'all for this opportunity. Not as much for the book, but for the communication and the challenge of getting out and sharing with other young men. And it's long overdue. We all get caught up all the time, and we forget about where we come from. I never forget. I know exactly where I come from. Been blessed my entire life, and God is still blessing me today. So thank you for the opportunity to share.
Very, very welcome, both of you guys. Terrence, any closing words?
No, thank you, Jeff, for the opportunity, providing the network, the platform for us to get this message out. Thank you, Coach Thomas. Thank you, Coach Stevens. You guys delivered as usual. Thank you for just helping me get the vision out there, and we'll keep grinding on it and keep making our community, not just the East Side community, but our total community, great.
Yes, sir.
Fantastic. Well, this has been an episode of One2Gration Today. I am Jeff McKinney, CEO and founder of One2Gration. As you can see, there's no better time than now to actually get out and start to pursue greatness, and also to be able to embrace failure, because that's where the opportunity to learn and grow originates. Again, thank you for tuning in, and we'll speak soon.